yesterday. There was sun and there was rain. Beauty in the Monday.
Hello, welcome back to Life with My Wife. We are going to start cooking together a little bit more often. Today we're going to make bacon jam. I think of it more as a bacon relish.
That's kind of what I saw when I looked at it. So.
Yeah, right?
There's no pectin. It's not a jam.
I don't know. Is it a southern thing? I don't know.
No idea.
I don't know. She's a West Coast girl. I don't know.
Give me mountains and ocean.
And of course, Brody needs to have his attention. Anyways, Katie's going to do the chopping today because I cut my finger and I'm in agreement with Katie. I don't like wearing rubber gloves when I'm cooking. So anyways, we have, okay, so in the recipe later on it says you can add some maple syrup if you want. We have 1 pound of maple bacon and 1 pound of not maple.
1.1 pounds if you want to be particular, because of course Canadians and Americans can't agree on measurements and sizes of packages.
That's true. And here our bacon has gone down to 375 grams for most packages of bacon instead of 500 grams, which is just over a pound. So anyways, we have the bacon, we have garlic, we have sweet onions. Pain in the butt getting sweet onions around here.
They were just out at the main grocery store.
Oh, thyme.
Fresh thyme according to the recipe.
Yep. Red wine vinegar, balsamic vinegar, some black pepper, brown sugar, and jars are in the
sink getting rinsed in hot soapy water right now.
Yeah. Now, neither one of us have a pressure canner, so we can't pressure can this.
We're going the freezer route.
We're going to go the freezer.
If it makes enough to actually have more than a jar each, then we will have 1 can to use now, or 1 jar for now and 1 for later. We're going with our smaller cans, or smaller jars, only for the fact that both households only have 2 people in this.
Exactly.
So this recipe is said to last for only about 3 weeks in the refrigerator, so we didn't want to have too much open, so we're going with our much smaller jars that I would typically use for jam.
Yeah. And if we like it, next time we'll make larger batch.
Yeah.
We'll do it that way. I'm looking forward to trying this on a burger.
That's my best guess as to where it'll get used in for us as well.
So maybe we'll even have to have burgers here and try it all together as a taste test menu.
We may have to, depending on what our schedules do.
And we hope to get back swimming shortly. There was a comment in the last video that Katie was in about how she was natural in front of the camera. Tell them your profession.
So, I'm a trained teacher. I've spent 17 years in a classroom, so I am not uncomfortable with an audience.
Yeah.
It's what I've done.
Yeah.
So.
But she's a specialized teacher too.
Yeah. So,
which I love.
So I spent 17 years in a classroom teaching deaf and hard of hearing students. So my primary language of instruction was ASL. And then I have since done a degree in school psychology, so now I can do assessments for our students with additional needs.
Mm-hmm. So I love watching Katie. We have the restaurant Sal's that Kevin and I go to used to have this gentleman that was he bussed tables and did dishes and stuff, right? What was his name again? It's on the tip of my tongue.
I think it started with a T, but I can't remember.
I can't remember either. Anyways, he was hard of hearing, and so one day Katie started, and he was like, "You sign!" He was so excited. So it was so neat watching them be able to talk to each other, because clearly he doesn't have.
I happened upon him on his last day working while he was getting ready to retire.
Yeah. So, all right, Katie's gonna chop up stuff, and then we'll bring you back. All right, so we've been browning up this bacon. And it's looking pretty good.
Katie has to learn that. There we go.
Blood.
So there is quite a bit of grease in here. So the recipe asks that you drain all of it except for about half a tablespoon, I believe it is.
Did you want to Want something to put that half tablespoon in, then we can drain the rest.
So, do you have a metal measuring spoon by chance?
I don't know if I do.
Okay.
Let me oh, you know what? We threw the tablespoon out because it broke. So let me see if I have like half a tablespoon. What's that one? Quarter teaspoon.
Quarter teaspoon. Okay, we'll just go with this.
Oh, here. Well, no, there's no handle on it.
Okay. So
I'll give you.
I am going
How about
to.
I get you a ramekin?
Well, I was just going to stick it in with the garlic.
Oh, okay. Yep, that works.
So I'm going to pull out about half a tablespoon of the grease and just mix it in with our garlic since that's going in next.
Mhm.
Or I think, boy, the onions are going in next, but
With the garlic, so I think it.
and I'm going to put in a little bit extra since it's going to be sitting.
Did you? We can. You know what we can do is drain it into a pot, and then we can. When it cools, we can put it. There's a strainer, a steel strainer down here.
Okay, that's what I was going to.
I'm so excited to try this.
Crap. I just got grease everywhere.
It'll clean. You can use that cloth, and we'll just get a fresh cloth.
Yeah, I just have to make sure that I don't slip.
Yes. Here, I'll take the dirty one and I'll just put it at the basement stairs. Down there. I'll take that. Alright. There we go.
Okay, so next we are to add the onions and saute for about 5 minutes. So this is a cup and a half of sweet onions, diced up small.
That looks like good topping for pierogies right about now.
Or filling.
Yeah.
So there we have a nice mixture of bacon and onions. And it seems like there was already enough grease left in the pan from straining it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And you're just looking for the onions to be translucent, just like anytime you're sauteing onions. And depending on how high you have your heat on your stove, that may happen faster So as these are getting mostly translucent, I am going to add in the, it calls for 4 large cloves of garlic. Our garlic cloves were fairly small this time, so I used 5.
Just scrape them out.
We're close enough.
Okay.
So diced up some garlic. Got that taken in there. And the recipe does say that you should be stirring this continuously during the garlic stage. And definitely aromatic today.
Smells delish. We were talking to Dorothy on the phone on Saturday when Len was here, and we're joking around and everything, and I said, "You can't come to my house tonight." She starts laughing. She goes, "No, I can't."
So we're looking at 1 to 2 minutes with the garlic. The next things we're going to be adding in are a cup of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of a balsamic vinegar, and a 1/4 cup of red wine vinegar. Could you get me the 1/4 cup measuring
Sure, yeah.
device? And I think as I'm looking at this, the next time I was to do something like this, I might cut my pieces a little bit smaller of everything. But it all depends on how chunky or smooth of a spread you would like.
Yeah. Well, it does say on there too, you can pulse it later.
Oh, that's true, we could.
Yeah. And I do have a hand.
Like an immersion blender?
Yeah.
Okay. So our next is a 1/4 cup of red wine vinegar. It's probably going to do some sizzling.
Ooh.
Is medium 5 on yours?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we need...
Oh no, 12. So 6 is medium.
Okay. The brown sugar. You want to sit in and stir on that
I
while I
do
measure
too.
out the balsamic?
I do too.
Because it needs 2 tablespoons.
So Katie and I split the ingredients up. And then we'll split the jam up as well.
Because neither of our households needs a whole batch of it, that we can tell.
No.
So this says to bring to a simmer over medium heat. So we did drop the heat a little bit from how warm we were at when cooking our bacon.
Which is good because I'm dying of heat right now.
And we need a 1/4 cup of water. And there goes a 1/4 cup of our water.
Scrape the bottom and get all those bits because that'll nice flavor.
You can smell the vinegars for sure.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Whew. I'll be right back. I'm just going to cool off in the fan.
I've been canning other things for a few days, so standing around a nice pot of boiling water, you know, has been pretty much my norm.
Yep.
So this is simmering in there. You can see the bubbles coming up. So now we are to add 6 sprigs of fresh thyme. So these will be pulled back out. So leaving them as a whole sprig is perfectly okay. And then it calls for black pepper with no measurement. So
Just a sprinkle or whatever, I guess.
I'm just going to put a little bit of pepper in there. And then keep on stirring for a couple of minutes. Count your sprigs of thyme just in case, so when you go to pulling them out, you know how many you had in there.
It's like
It's like bay leaves when you're making pot roast or in our household we just say, watch out for bay leaves, you may get one.
Yep. Looks delish. Anybody that likes bacon on their hot dogs even.
Or on, I mean, really it's going to be another way to add a cooled bacon version to your burger. So people love to put bacon on their hamburgers, so why not put it in a sauce?
Or we call it a relish, like a opposed to a jam, but. And I think as a relish, it's nice having it a little bit chunky.
And I can feel that it is sticking to the bottom of the pan a little bit, so stepping in and, you know, stirring it pretty consistently is helpful.
And how long are you supposed to do this step for?
Another few minutes. Stirring often, being careful not to burn.
And then
I'm good at following directions.
And then what's the next step?
And then after it, it says, taste and adjust the seasoning to your preference. I don't know what it's supposed to taste like, so I'm not quite sure how I'm supposed to adjust it to my taste. But this is how I feel about most recipes that tell me to do that. And then, I'm not quite sure what I would add if...
Yeah.
I think the only thing that we would be able to adjust at this point would be to put in more pepper. That seems to be about the only...
Well, there was one optional ingredient.
There was an optional ingredient to add some maple syrup, or in place of the water to use bourbon.
And there was also something about chilies or peppers.
And if
or
you
something?
wanted to make it a spicier mix, you could put some cayenne pepper in it. But
They like that,
we
but-
would eat it at our house, but Kevin and Kelly are
Yeah.
less spice adventurous than we are.
Yes.
Because I actually need to borrow their food dehydrator to dry the habaneros from the garden.
Yep.
Turned those into a powder last year, and it was great. And jam and hot sauce and a bunch of other things, but the powder was our favorite.
See, I love red pepper jam on cream cheese on crackers. Oh, I love that.
This was too spicy even to do very much of. That was what we found. The habanero jam was a little too spicy even for us. Okay, so at this point, we've been going for a few minutes. You can see our bacon in there. So I'm going to turn off the stove top. Try to get a little bit of the juice and a little bit of the bacon. Tastes like maple bacon to me.
All right.
So I don't feel like it needs anything else.
Okay, well then.
It's not super sweet. So if you prefer a sweeter relish or a sweeter topping, you probably could up I put the maple syrup in then if you wanted it a little sweeter.
Right.
But other than that, it looks good to me. Did you want to get a spoon and try
No,
some?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm taking your word.
So next thing we're going to do is take out our sprigs of thyme and then let the mixture cool. And then we'll bring you back.
Okay. All right. So Katie says this is cool enough to touch.
Yeah, it's cool enough that I can stick my hand and I picked some up off a spoon with my fingers and it didn't burn me, so what we have right here is our mixture. It looks fairly thick at this point, so I have a nice little funnel here that I can set inside my jars. I personally put all of my canning supplies on a cookie sheet so that when I spill, not if I spill, when I spill, it can safely be caught and not have sticky stuff all over my counter. So the nice thing about this is it fits right inside the jar. And it looks nice and thick.
Interesting. Pretty.
So if you are going to prep this to put in a freezer or something like that, you want to ensure that you leave plenty of headspace for expansion and contraction with the changing of temperatures. So the way I do that is I just fill it as much as I can, and then if I need to, scoop a little bit out. And in the case of this, I believe it said to leave a 1/2 inch headspace. So I'm just gonna grab a spoon real quick. So this one definitely is too full, being scooped over the top. So I'm just going to scoop some of it into the next jar. And in these jars, usually about 1/2 inch. If you have a canning tool that tells you where a 1/2 inch is at, usually is right around the bottom of the neck. So this one has the right amount of space in it. This one's a little full, but probably just fine. I'm gonna poke it down a little and we're good there. So what we're gonna do is we're each gonna prep one that can then go into the freezer for us, and then one partial jar each to have to eat with our first adventures with this. Don't use that spoon in there. I can use that.
Pretty darn close to 4 jars.
A little shy, but
Yeah.
I believe it called for 12 ounces, but of course we use milliliters in Canada, so you either get to do a bunch of math or you just go by sight. So this does last for 3 weeks in the fridge, so we have to have hamburgers or something to use it in the next 3 weeks, which should be doable for both families.
Oh, yeah. And it was Brenda Duncan from Duncan's Homestead that told me to freeze it if we didn't have the...
If we didn't have pressure canning ability, since we are dealing with canning meat.
Yeah.
We've been recommended a couple of books about canning and preserving since Michael and I are interested in being as self-sufficient as possible with what we grow and stuff. So
I think you'll probably invest in a pressure canner.
At some point, but if I can water bath can, I'm comfortable at least with that. So in this case, we have at least 1/2 inch of headspace, as with everything. Since we're not canning these, just set your seal lid on and give a nice snug tight around there. And I am gonna let these fully cool before I stick them in the freezer. And then for our home ones, these can go directly into the refrigerator. There will be no problem with that. That band feels like it is not threading right. I will just pick a new one. There we go. has probably would have been a good opportunity for me to use my one-piece lids that I haven't really used for anything, that I've taken off of other jars so that I can use the two-piece lids. So right now they are a little bit warm to the touch, but they are not hot, so like, but as with everything, you don't want to have big temperature changes with glass, so don't stick it in the freezer right away. So we came out with 2 full jars and 2 jars that are each about 3/4 full.
Yeah.
So those will be for our home use this week.
That's awesome.
And that's all we have for you today.
So, let's move you back here.
Except lots of dishes to do.
Yes. You want to come and do the dishes for us? Anyway, thanks for joining us. And yeah, every now and then I send some recipes to Katie and ask her what her thoughts are on them. And so I think we're gonna
We'll try a few more.
see how things go. All right, we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.